Welcome one and all to another episode of Full of Fail Army. Hey, how's it going? Welcome, I am your loving host, the man in the iron makeup, Elliot Rad Rogers. Yes, that's right, I'm back, I'm beautiful. Well, I'm back. I'm just back. Anyway, we've got some awesome things to talk to you about this new weekly roundup, including Valorant. Everyone and their kitchen sink is talking about or playing Valorant, and we would like to let you know about what it is doing with Steam. Not Steam, Twitch, excuse me. It's breaking some records on Twitch, and we would like to let you know how and why. And then, of course, we're going to talk about the No Man's Sky update. The game is progressing along very well, and especially if you are a VR player, there is a new update that allows you to play inside a giant mech suit that actually has cockpit functions for virtual reality players, which I am excited about. One of the other things is we are going to talk about Avatar: The Last Airbender. If you were a fan of the series and you ever wanted to be an Earthbender, here your chance is coming up very soon, as there is a VR title that does just that, and we're going to go and get into some detail about that. And then we're going to talk about the tragedy that is Sony cancelling all Iron Man VR pre-orders, including mine. It is a very sad day indeed, as there was a recently announced indefinite delay following this global COVID situation, and we're going to be talking about that and seeing maybe when we might see them going back up. We definitely already got our money back, so yeah. Anyway, the last thing that we're going to talk about is, of course, the Disaster Report. Disaster Report 4, which was only available in Japan region, now has came over to North America and is PSVR compatible. And that is great because there is a lot of things in there, and we're going to discuss about it, that is great for VR players, including like the plank challenge, the things with walking along the heights. Basically, the decisions you make is a survival make or break situation, and it's even better when it's immersive in VR. Okay, everyone, let's go ahead and just give a shout out to Conky, our cover co-host.
It's me, Conky.
No. Bless your little soul. And we're off. Yay! Right. Okay, let's get into some news. And the first piece of top of our docket is going to be about Valorant. That's right, we talked about Valorant, and we mentioned it, now we're going to talk about it. Valorant, the first-person shooter developed by Riot Games, the people behind the very successful mobile League of Legends, and only League of Legends, is now casting their ballots and looking for other esports action. Valorant, which is sort of a hybrid amalgamation of Counter-Strike meets Overwatch, but in my opinion has definitely flair and retrospect of visages V stuff of the Shadowrun first-person shooter that was around a while back on 360, which was cross-compatible playing online multiplayer with PC. The new game from the League of Legends, and only League of Legends until now, developer Riot Games mashes up quite a lot of great aspects of all those titles into what seems to be a very ongoing and viral sort of gameplay. Again, the game is not even out, it is in closed beta, but if you do follow people on Twitch, you can get a key during Twitch drops, and this is basically sort of planned by Riot Games, and has done very well, I might add. Basically, what we want to talk about, though, is how well it is doing on these streaming channels. Twitch, right now, there is a tie between the two most concurrent viewer games out there, excuse me. One, which was the record holder, the original record holder, which was Fortnite. And that came during the Chapter 2 Heralding Black Hole event, when everyone was all interested in the black hole. You'd be surprised how often people are interested in big holes. Anyway, sorry. Basically, what's going on is now there was a update saying that Valorant had a very short amount of time, 1.7 million concurrent viewers, which of course puts it basically firmly tying it with the all-time record. That is very impressive. Now, again, this is a game that is not even out, and basically you're already seeing people with Valorant or / Project A Pro or Caster in their social media bios, and some of these people still can't even play the game. So of course this is already going out of control. The virility is at an all-time high. And this is again by a company who is definitely in the esports and looking to expand that from going from a MOBA to a first-person shooter. Riot, basically one of the biggest companies out there, and they're sort of in the very unstable esports scene. They're loving this clamoring for fresh meat. There's basically a lot of interest in this game. Counter-Strike. Basically, during this global pandemic, Counter-Strike's population and viewers are going up as well, breaking its own records. On Steam, it was doing very well and breaking its own records consecutively. Again, we're talking about Counter-Strike. So there seems to be a large renewed interest for the first-person shooter professional scene. Basically, looks like Valorant now has a vice grip on Twitch. It had since it was allowed to release during the Twitch drops, and to lucky beta viewers, they'll be getting beta keys. Let's see, a Riot source told that the company actually did not pay influencers for coverage. This was all genuine engagement by a lot of people who were just actually interested in the game. And that's great. Very clever indeed. For a company that has been out for a long time, not as long as Activision, of course, but still being able to tie and compare those numbers with a very large publisher, developer, that's great. I think that's grand, and hopefully they will do more. As you can tell, within the coming months, maybe even years, that this will be a very big title, very big thing indeed, or it could just be a small, fizzling out after all the hoopla and initial hype has subsided, or maybe, you never know, the next gen consoles come out, something else takes its place. That's unfortunately the way of the world. But again, this is an unprecedented moment. It's just amazing at how fast this gained recognition and is at the top of everyone's lips and lists. And we'll basically see how this will play out here in the very short term. But we would like to say congrats out there to Riot, and thanks for coming out with a second game. We know all the hard work and dedication you put into the support and rebalancing of your first and only game, so hopefully we can expect that for this in the coming months and years. Again, well done, and let's see what else we got over here. There's something here. We're cue commercial.
Hey everybody, it's me, it's Conky. I'm back. That's right. It's your loving slimy blimey. That's right, I'm embracing the name that was given to me, and I like it. I am the slimy blimey. My name is Conky. How you doing? That's right, we're going to talk about the new No Man's Sky update. That is right. There's a new update to the great space exploration game, No Man's Sky. Update 2.4 brings out the Exomex update, which basically gives players to giant mechanical beasts that can be piloted and used as traversal for the entire game world. Now this is crazy and incredible. Basically, the mechs can jump, they're immune to planetary hazards, and they feature immersive cockpits for people playing in virtual reality. That's right, all the knobs and fiddly bits and everything you can play with is real. They've also developed a planet surface. You can deploy them to the planet's surface from your freighter if you have one. If not, you better get cracking, mate. Most importantly, they also look super cool. There's other updates along with this, basically, that are besides the giant mechs. There's including some improvements to the exocrafts, better scanners and solar panels to keep them charged, new graphic options to give flexibilities for infinite space rendered, base builders will have the option to hide wiring, and now people playing on console will be able to remove limits for base complexity at the cost of performance. That is awesome. There's also a few other things that are in there, well, for the mechs, basically, like decals, upgrades, and customization options. That is awesome. There's been a lot of great things coming from the Hello Games for No Man's Sky, and I do realize that it did have a rocky start, but you know what? They've dedicated all their time to making this a great game. And I have to say, for one, that it is turning out to be a great game. You should definitely try it. Even if you don't have a high-end PC, you can pick it up on PlayStation and still play it in VR for rather cheap. That is awesome. Thank you very much, guys at Hello Games. Who knows? I feel like I might have to do a stream on this rather soon. It's me, Conky.
Dun, 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 dun. And this one goes out to all you telekinetic martial artists out there. For any of you who was always loved Avatar The Last Airbender and thought to yourself, earthbending sounds and looks really cool. I wish I was able to do that in real life. Guess what? Here in a little while, now you will be able to. We were talking about Rumble, a game that is going to come out for PC VR as basically a slice off the block of Avatar's Last Airbender's Earthbreakers. That's right, Rumble, which the name is called, definitely wants to fill in the gaps with its earthbending fighting game, where the series telekinetic-like martial artists, you control the very ground beneath your feet. Now, we came across this video, we checked out the article, and it looks very interesting indeed. Imagine a VR game, if you will, where you never press any of the buttons. Your basic attack styles are the different poses that you use to hone your abilities and call on the powers of the earth to attack and defend. That sounds amazeballs and very interesting indeed. Headed on to Steam Early Access soon, Rumble is an online PvP game that tasks you with honing your ability to attack and defend by striking different poses. That's right, get your pose on, girlfriend. Something the developer Buckethead Entertainment says is inspired by several styles of martial arts. Basically, what they're quoting is that you chain together different poses flowing from one to the next and create combos. Pose combos, as they're being called, have different effects based on the poses used. All combos are unique, and there's a situation for every single one. For example, attack, defend, avoid, looking pretty. Yeah, that's right. Buckethead's the game's Steam page, which is up. You don't just use attacks, you create them. Train yourself up in the gym, and once you're confident, give it a whack. Put your skills to the test and go in the PvP arena and wreak some havoc by throwing large boulders at your opponent's face. That actually just sounds rather cool, to be honest. Rumble is slated to launch sometime soon on Steam Early Access for PC VR headsets. Buckethead says an Oculus Quest version isn't entirely off the table, however the studio still needs to conduct research regarding the performance and tracking on the Quest headset. This entire thing sounds rather amazing, and we're going to check in on it and give you updates. Well, it happened. We all know it happened, but I'm still not happy about it. There was an announcement about 2 weeks ago for indefinite delays for two high-profile Sony titles. Sony is cancelling pre-orders for upcoming PSVR exclusive Iron Man VR, as well as The Last of Us 2. There was a message. The message read, The Last of Us Part 2 and Iron Man VR have been delayed. The message also reads, all digital pre-order consumers will be automatically receiving a refund. Please check your email for more details. We did. We also checked our bank statement, and yes, we did get our refund. This does not make me happy. Pre-orders for both games, Iron Man VR and The Last of Us 2, have been live on the PlayStation Store in digital format for the past few months, including several editions for both titles. But Sony took those pre-orders down in conjunction with the delay.
Oh my god!
I'm upset, but I understand why. I want everyone to be healthy and safe. But at the same time, I was really looking forward to both of these titles. I don't know one person, one soul on this earth who played The Last of Us Part 1 who's not looking for, the story continuation for The Last of Us Part 2, as well as the amazing graphic update. I also am looking forward to Iron Man VR because not only is it a high-profile title, not only is it in Marvel's stable, but you're Tony frickin' Stark playing as Iron Man in virtual reality. Also, mainly the fact that the PlayStation VR deserves a lot of support. It's doing very well, and if they're going to release a PlayStation VR 2 with the PlayStation 5, which all PlayStation VR 1 titles are backwards compatible, they would want a high-profile title as well as an exclusive like this in their ranks to help entice people to buy the system and peripheral. No new date has been given for either game. The messages paired with the facts that this is an indefinite delay might be that we're talking about a pretty lengthy delay. Iron Man VR was originally set to launch in late February and then was delayed to late May. That delay had nothing to do with the COVID response, but now the irony has set in and layered on thick. Iron Man VR, which is published by Sony itself and developed by Republic Studio Camouflage. And of course, as the name suggests, the game sees you suit up as Tony Stark to take on the Marvel baddie Ghost in an all-new exclusive story for PlayStation consoles. I've been looking forward to the game for some time, thanks to the innovative control scheme, which allows for very convincing 360-degree movement, despite using the limited PlayStation VR's 180-degree tracking tech. Oh, les boo. Boo, we say, both. The English version and the French version. They both mean the same thing, but les boo just sounds, well, anything in French sounds sexy. Les boo. Nah. Although it's not making me feel better. Again, there's no bin date set for either of these, but I will be tracking these vigorously, and if anything comes about it, I will let you all know. We'll post it on several channels. We won't even come out with a bloody video. We'll just let you know. Until then, we're going to practice all French. Les boo! Les boo! Oh, shit. I promised myself I wouldn't cry.
Hi everybody, it's Conky back here with one of the last news articles for the day. And we're going to be talking about another PSVR exclusive Disaster Report, Summer Memories. That's right, Disaster Report 4, the overly long awaited title in the series, is now here available in North America. It was exclusively only available in Japan, and after a 9-year wait, can now be played by all of us here in the North America region. And on top of that, it also has a VR supported mode for first-person action, or I should say navigation, during a horrible event. And this game, which was actually in development during the horrible 2011 catastrophe that struck Japan, has now reached stateside. And there was probably a lot of, close-to-home moments during people who maybe have played the game. While we have heard and seen that this game looks like a PlayStation 2 video sequence that is just played out through the entire game, or a PlayStation 3 launch title, it still is very hard-hitting and impacts you with real-life scenarios and situations that people have tried, or I should say probably have faced during situations like this. Now, previously only available in Japan, this is an action survival game that is basically available as well for a third-person view to PSVR and first-person view users, but as a different, shorter campaign as opposed to the third-person point-of-view campaign. On a seemingly ordinary summer day, your trip to the city for a job interview turns into a gigantic disaster, with earthquakes terrorizing you and horribly wrecking your surroundings. You're going to have to navigate floods, burning buildings, collapsing buildings, and work with other survivors. Basically, choose your own adventure, but sometimes the choice you make only makes for very awkward animations and encounters, while some things are a must, and the navigation, or I should say narrative, for the story is somewhat limited. Again, this is a 9-year-old game which finally reached us, and I'm actually glad it did. It tells a very gripping story, and again highlights some of the real things that happened to some people around the world. Basically, don't look too much for it in terms of graphical fidelity, and look for it more as an engaging, thought-processing type playthrough. It's definitely not going to be your Resident Evil 7, but it might actually tickle your fancy if you play through it and reach an emotional state or two. Me personally, I have a huge fear of heights, and I don't know if I can actually play this, especially in the VR setting. Might have a nauseous moment or two. Either way, this rounds out yet another awesome exclusive for the PSVR library, which will be available to play on the PlayStation 5 when it launches later this year. Well, maybe. Anyway, I'm Conky, the Slimy Blimey, checking out.
Hey, so we're here with the last beautiful piece of gaming news that we'd like to bring to you, and this is actually quite cool. So by now, undoubtedly, a lot of you have seen the new DualSense controller for the PlayStation 5. If not, where the hell have you been? Check out that little beautiful piece of imagery we have in the corner there, and check it out. So Sony has revealed the controller for the PlayStation 5 called the DualSense, and a change to the positioning of the light bar suggests that the PlayStation VR 2 may use inside-out tracking. Now, this is corroborated by some of the patents that data miners have pulled from the patent office, including the fact that PlayStation might be working on a wireless headset with a 5-hour battery life, as well as inside-out tracking with cameras both on the outside, even the back of the headset, for a full 360 tracking experience, much like the Oculus Quest. The PlayStation 4 DualShock 4 controller features a light bar on the back side of the controller, which can display various colors. This was set by the game's developers and, in fact, the creators of the console. This is how the PlayStation camera tracks. Basically, it's on the back. You can only see from where the camera is positioned, which is generally near the TV, above, below, or sort of directly on your monitor. Now, with the PlayStation 5's new DualSense controller, Sony appears to have moved the light bars to the face of the controller near the touchpad, with one stripe on either side. Now, Sony says that the change was made to give it an extra pop, but this decision also may be related to the PSVR 2. Basically, given how the gamepad is normally held with a very ergonomic design, I might add, the light bars on the DualSense would now not be visible to the camera placed beside, behind, or on top of the TV. They would, however, be visible to the cameras on the headset itself. And if that is the case, these cameras would also be used for inside-out tracking and spatial awareness, which I think is amazeballs. So basically, this is not something new. VR headsets from Facebook, Microsoft, HTC all now use inside-out tracking, including the Google headset developed with Lenovo. So basically, in simple terms, to track the headset, the technology works by comparing the accelerometer data to the apparent motion of landmark features in your room, such as the edges of a table, the frame of a painting, your nose being close to the doorknob, things like that. To track controllers, however, the cameras can follow the motion of stripes or strips, basically a la sort of like the Vive Cosmos or the dots that the Oculus and Windows Mixed Reality headsets use for visible infrared lights relative to the user's hand. The technology is possible that Sony plans to drop out for its gamepads and VR with PlayStation VR 2, instead of launching new controllers using a new tracking system. So you can tell that they might have thought this through quite a bit. They've also done a lot of, not really questioning, but research on both current headsets and possible in-development headsets, which would make Sony maybe one step ahead of the game. Also, dropping the gamepad support would have implications for backwards compatibility going forward, as a lot of games currently on the PSVR 1 do use the gamepad and the light bars on the DualShock 4. A major selling point for the PS5 is the backwards compatibility for PlayStation 4 titles, including all PSVR titles. So Sony previously said, quoting here, the current PSVR headset is compatible with the PS5, making all PSVR library games compatible as well. Yay, Resident Evil users! So, will DualShock 4 also be compatible with the PS5, we are wondering? There's been no official word on that, and with the PlayStation camera and the DualShock 4, seems like it would be necessary to live up to the promise of backwards compatibility for some PSVR games, which rely on the ability to track the controller's movement for space. Again, there has been no word, but we are eagerly awaiting that word and researching all and any developments going forward. So, if instead the PlayStation VR 2 uses inside-out tracking, it could offer varying benefits to players, which is, again, awesome. Since there's no fixed camera, the controllers could be tracked even when turned away from the TV, saying you're turning in a full 360 rotating motion, a feature all other VR platforms today support. Additionally, the setup would be much easier, and there would be far less cables for you to trip over and stumble upon when you're trying to reach the bathroom in the middle of the night and you didn't plug anything. That has happened to me. It would also enable Sony to have a system like Facebook's Guardian and
Valve's chaperone to sort of map out your room and let you know when you're about to run into the wall or break your controller or scuff your walls like we have done multiple times in the past. Believe it, check out some of our previous broadcasts on Twitch or YouTube, and you will see that sometimes live in motion, especially with our Blade and Sorcery gameplay broadcasts. Either way, this is an interesting development, and it looks to be quite awesome. And I mean, just obviously too, if you've seen the controller, there's been a lot of hoopla, and yes, it's been spawning memes out by the dozen because of its design and layout, but if you ask me, I think that this might have been planned. Microsoft has been doing very well in terms of their custom controller creations or studios where people can make their own stuff. Very easy removable faceplates for, customizing it yourself. So what would be easier than something that looks like the PlayStation controller, the DualSense 2, where you can easily customize that controller and all of its prettiness that you would like, which would also be an example and reason why maybe it's going to be available in white. If you've ever played, Warhammer, any miniature figure setting like that, when you use a base primer, which is sometimes usually mostly white, it makes it much easier to add your customization afterward. So there's definitely some interesting things going on with Sony. They definitely know what they've been doing. They definitely know what they've been doing as it's been shown in the past, as they've been doing well, which is what I wanted to say with a lot of fail in there. But we have definitely high hopes for what's coming around the corner. We definitely don't know if the PlayStation VR 2 is going to be launching this year. They've already stated in a few previous statements that it might not happen alongside launch, but with the delay of both titles and possibly the console, we might also see them rush up or ramp up production to basically match needs and make that sales quota that I'm sure everyone is dying to hit, including Nintendo and Microsoft and even PC people on the like. Especially with this everyone being inside thing and everyone resorting to playing video games to fill that gaping void in their life, we will see as developments come available, and we will also let you know. So this of course wraps up the Full or Fail Army News Roundup weekly update for shit this week. We will get back to you with some more gameplay later on tonight on our Twitch stream, and of course you can also watch it re-uploaded on our YouTube channel as long as we can combat the copyright trolls. That's right, Facebook. I keep saying Facebook, but you know what, there's just as many trolls on Facebook as there are on YouTube. However, the trolling on YouTube is getting at an all-time high where you cannot upload anything without someone or something saying, hey, that's copyrighted material, blah blah blah. So yeah, let us pray for the future. Stay safe, stay healthy. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. You'll see more coming and you'll get notifications when it's live. Hit that share button and more people will see this awesome fail. Hit that like and subscribe button and you'll be eventually supporting us, as we want to make this something we do on a more consistent basis. We've been trying to stay more and more consistent, but we'd also like to do this, for all of you. This is more for you than it is for us, as it is easy to research this stuff and not do any of these videos, whatever have you. But we do feel like information is designed to be shared. We are a fan of passive information, where it sort of comes along to us, we pass it along. We had a small filter and a few jokes here and there, but it's all in the end to try to get that information out there to all of you who might just be as equally interested in the developments in the game space as we are. So please help us help you. Oh no, I've done it again. Every time I overdo it the night before, I wake up in a new place. I just want to get home. Oh, shit.